Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. It's not every day you see teammates throwing punches at each other in the middle of a practice that's already boiling over with tension. But that's exactly what happened when the Miami Dolphins hit the field for a joint practice session with the Chicago Bears this past Friday. Now joint practices are supposed to be competitive. They're supposed to get guys out of their comfort zones, test schemes, and light a little fire before the real games begin. But this was more like a scene out of a family barbecue where two cousins suddenly square up in the backyard. We're talking Jordan Brooks and Tyrell Dodson, both linebackers for the Dolphins, going at each other while the Bears stood by. Probably thinking, is this part of the drill? It wasn't a great look, especially for a team that's trying to build chemistry before the season officially kicks off. The chippiness had been building all day. Multiple little scrums had already broken out between Dolphins and Bears players during drills. There's jawing, there's pushing, maybe a helmet slap or two. But when Brooks and Dodson started mixing it up, it shifted the spotlight. And not in a good way. Imagine you're trying to outplay the opposing team in a high-intensity practice, and then your own guys start swinging at each other. That's like a rock band fighting on stage mid-performance. It kills the vibe and makes everyone wonder if you're even on the same page. And sure, emotions run high in football, pads are popping, adrenaline's pumping, and tempers can flare in a split second. But when that energy turns inward instead of outward, you risk exposing cracks in the foundation. And in the NFL, perception can be just as dangerous as reality. Fans, analysts, and opponents all notice moments like these. Fast forward to Sunday game day. The Dolphins and Bears played to a 24-24 tie, but everyone still had Friday's fight on their mind. That's when head coach Mike McDaniel stepped up to address the situation. And if you know McDaniel, you know he's not the type to deliver a fiery public scolding just to please the cameras. Instead, he took a more thoughtful approach. According to video captured by David Furones of the Miami Sun-Sentinel, McDaniel explained that both Brooks and Dodson came to him after the incident, laid out what had happened, and most importantly, apologized to the entire team. That's not nothing. In a league where egos are bigger than some playbooks, standing in front of your peers to admit you messed up takes humility. McDaniel's message was that mistakes happen, but accountability can turn a bad moment into a bonding one if the team embraces it the right way. McDaniel even went as far as to describe it as a brotherly fight rather than a real confrontation. And you know what? That makes sense. Brothers fight. Teammates who spend months together in intense high-pressure environments sometimes clash. It's almost inevitable. Still, McDaniel acknowledged the obvious. The optics were bad. From the outside looking in, seeing Dolphins players throw hands at each other instead of their opponents sends the wrong message. But here's where he found the silver lining. Brooks and Dodson didn't just shrug it off or avoid responsibility. They owned it. They spoke to their teammates without being told. They reinforced that the Dolphins hold themselves to a standard, and when that standard isn't met, it gets addressed internally. McDaniel likened it to something families go through, and in his eyes, the Dolphins came out stronger. Whether that's true or just coach speak, only time will tell. If we zoom out, though, this wasn't an isolated moment of tension in Miami's camp. Training camp has been sprinkled with little moments of awkwardness between teammates. Just recently, quarterback Tua Tagovailoa publicly called out Tyreek Hill, his superstar wide receiver. That's the kind of thing that instantly makes headlines because fans love a quarterback wideout drama. Then Hill stirred the pot by saying rookie running back Devon Achane shouldn't be on the field during third downs, a comment Achane didn't exactly take kindly to. These aren't massive controversies on their own, but string them together and you start to wonder, is there a chemistry problem brewing in Miami? Or is this simply a team of passionate players unafraid to speak their minds? Because there's a fine line between a competitive, honest locker room and one that's just plain fractious. The national narrative is always quick to label a team as fractured when moments like this stack up. It's the NFL. Stories get magnified, especially when a team is in the spotlight. And right now, the Dolphins are firmly in that spotlight. They've got the offensive firepower to scare anyone, a defense with playmakers, and a coach in McDaniel who's been praised for his creativity and culture building. But when outsiders see a fight between teammates, public callouts in the media, and sideline spats during camp, they start questioning if all those moving parts can stay aligned when it matters. On the flip side, football history is filled with teams that battled internally but still went on to dominate because those fiery moments hardened them. Think about the 90s Cowboys, or even the early Patriots. Sometimes the storm builds the steel. The Dolphins have to hope that's the path they're on. From McDaniel's perspective, the best outcome is that this fight becomes one of those turning point moments the team looks back on. Not as a source of embarrassment, but as the day they realized that internal accountability was their greatest strength. That's why he emphasized the fact Brooks and Dodson didn't need a coach's directive to apologize. They felt compelled to do it. That shows awareness. That shows maturity. And in an NFL season, those traits matter just as much as raw talent. A united locker room can overcome injuries, bad calls, and even losing streaks. A divided one? It can collapse faster than a rookie quarterback under a blitz. If Miami can genuinely use this incident to reinforce their culture, they might not just survive the drama. They might actually thrive because of it. Of course, all this talk about accountability and bonding will mean nothing if the Dolphins don't show it on the field. That's the great equalizer in sports: winning. You can fight in camp, call each other out, even have the occasional heated exchange in the locker room. If you're winning games, people call it competitive spirit. If you're losing, they call it locker room dysfunction. So the real test for Miami won't be in how they talk about the fight, but in how they play after it. If Brooks and Dodson are flying around on defense, if Tua and Tyreek are connecting for big plays, all of this will fade into a quirky footnote of the 2025 season. But if the losses start piling up, this moment will be cited as proof the Dolphins weren't together from the start. And here's the thing about joint practices. They're meant to simulate real game intensity, but without the scoreboard. That means emotions can sometimes boil over more easily because players are in a competitive environment without the natural focus that comes when every snap counts. Add in the fact that players are fighting for roster spots, trying to prove themselves to coaches, and maybe even angling for better contract leverage, and you've got a perfect recipe for tempers to flare. That's why so many coaches around the league actually expect a few scuffles during joint practices. The difference is in how teams respond afterward. Do they let it fester and create divisions, or do they use it as a moment to reinforce unity? McDaniel is betting on the latter, and for Dolphins fans, that's a gamble worth watching closely as the season unfolds. So in the end, the Brooks-Dodson fight might just be a blip in a long NFL season. Or it could be the spark that forces the Dolphins to get real with each other before it's too late. McDaniel's approach, publicly framing it as a family matter while privately demanding accountability, strikes the right balance for a team with playoff ambitions. He's walking that fine line between allowing natural competitive fire and making sure it doesn't consume the team from within. And honestly, that's one of the hardest jobs in professional sports. Because football teams aren't just rosters, they're ecosystems. Every fight, every comment, every handshake matters. If Miami can navigate this with honesty and keep the energy pointed toward their opponents instead of themselves, this season could still be special. But if not, Friday's practice might go down as the first warning sign everyone ignored. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? The NFL world woke up buzzing this morning with whispers that could shake up the AFC East landscape in a big way. Multiple insider reports, still unconfirmed by the front office, suggest that veteran wide receiver Keenan Allen has agreed to terms with the Miami Dolphins on a deal worth around $16 million per year. While official team channels remain quiet, the chatter is too loud to ignore, and fans are already imagining the highlight reels. Allen, known for his crisp route, running and reliable hands, would instantly provide Tua Tagovailoa with the kind of safety valve every quarterback dreams about. Miami's offense was already electric with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle stretching the field vertically, but Allen's presence could add a possession game dimension that keeps drives alive. If this rumor proves true, the Dolphins might be arming themselves for a serious playoff push in the coming season. The potential signing has social media in overdrive, with Dolphins fans flooding timelines with mock-ups of Allen in aqua and orange. Many believe his style is a perfect complement to Miami's existing receiving core. While Hill and Waddle rely heavily on speed to burn defenses deep, Allen thrives in the intermediate zones, using his footwork and body control to create separation in tight spaces. This makes him an ideal third down target, someone Tagovailoa can trust when pressure closes in. The rumored $16 million annual figure raises eyebrows, though. It's a significant commitment for a player who has battled injuries in recent years. However, those who follow Allen's career know that when he's healthy, he's among the most precise route runners in football. The Dolphins front office, if truly pulling this off, seems willing to pay for reliability and leadership as much as production. For Tua, this could be a defining addition to his young career. Analysts are already speculating about how head coach Mike McDaniel might use Allen within his schematically creative offense. The Dolphins love motion, bunch formations, and quick timing routes, elements that could be tailor-made for Allen's skill set. Imagine a 3rd and 5 with Hill motioning across the formation, Waddle threatening deep, and Allen slipping into a soft spot for an easy conversion. That kind of versatility makes Miami even harder to defend. Some skeptics argue the Dolphins might be crowding the receiver room, but in today's NFL, depth is gold, especially with the grind of a 17-game season. Allen could also mentor the younger receivers, passing along the veteran tricks that helped him succeed for so long with the Chargers. In the red zone, where the Dolphins occasionally struggled last year, Allen's size and catch radius could be a difference maker. Whether lining up outside or in the slot, his addition would force defenses to account for every inch of the field. Of course, rumors are tricky, and there's always the possibility that this is smoke without fire. Negotiations in the NFL often leak strategically, sometimes to pressure another team, sometimes to gauge market reaction. $16 million per year is not chump change, and the Dolphins' salary cap situation would require some maneuvering to fit such a contract. Could this be an elaborate play by Allen's camp to draw interest from other contenders? Perhaps. Yet the Dolphins' aggressive approach in recent seasons suggests they're not shy about making bold moves. They traded for Tyreek Hill, signed big names on defense, and built an offense meant to win now. Adding Allen fits that win-now mentality perfectly. Fans have seen Miami chase stars before, so the idea isn't far-fetched. Still, until ink meets paper and the Dolphins' official channels announce it, we're talking about a deal that lives in the exciting gray zone of sports gossip. Tagovailoa's development remains the centerpiece of Miami's long-term ambitions, and adding Allen could be seen as a direct investment in the quarterback's growth. Last season, Tua showed flashes of elite accuracy and decision-making, but he also faced criticism for occasional inconsistency under pressure. Allen's presence would give him an experienced route technician who understands how to adjust mid-play, read coverages on the fly, and offer a dependable option when the pocket collapses. This could reduce the number of risky throws and increase Miami's time of possession, keeping their defense fresh. There's also the intangible chemistry factor. Allen has a reputation as a cerebral player who studies defensive tendencies meticulously. And pairing that with Tua's quick release could produce a lethal efficiency. If McDaniel and the offensive staff are indeed behind this rumored signing, it's not just about numbers. It's about building a trust network for the quarterback in high-leverage moments. The Dolphins' locker room dynamic could also shift in interesting ways. Allen is a respected veteran, the kind of player younger teammates tend to listen to. His calm, methodical approach to preparation might balance out the high-energy personalities of Hill and Waddle, creating a more well-rounded leadership core. Media in Miami would no doubt pounce on every practice clip, eager to see how the trio interacts. From a defensive coordinator standpoint, preparing for a Dolphins team with Allen, Hill, and Waddle borders on nightmare fuel. Pick your poison, and you're still wrong. The middle of the field, once a relative weak spot, would suddenly become a minefield of precise routes and chain-moving catches. If the deal really happens, we might be looking at one of the most versatile and balanced receiving units in recent NFL memory. And all of it hinges on this $16 million rumor becoming a reality sooner rather than later. Financially, the numbers make for an intriguing puzzle. $16 million per year places Allen firmly among the upper echelon of receiver salaries, yet still below the top-tier mega deals. This suggests the Dolphins, if the rumor is accurate, value him highly but also see the contract as a manageable risk. Incentive structures could be in play. Bonuses for games played, receptions, or yardage milestones, which would protect Miami if injuries resurface. The front office might also plan to restructure existing contracts or release certain players to free up cap space. The Dolphins have been strategic in manipulating their financial situation before, often front-loading or back-loading deals to create immediate flexibility. Such moves could make Allen's rumored contract entirely feasible, without gutting other parts of the roster. Fans know that in today's NFL, cap space is more about creativity than actual limitations, and Miami's brass has proven they're willing to bend numbers to chase wins. From a league-wide perspective, this potential signing would send ripples through the AFC. The Buffalo Bills and New York Jets, Miami's divisional rivals, are already dealing with their own roster challenges, and adding Allen would force them to adjust their defensive strategies immediately. Cornerbacks would face an almost impossible task. Shadow Hill deep, contain Waddle's agility, and somehow keep Allen from moving the chains. It could also put pressure on other contenders to make their own splash moves before the season kicks off. The Chargers, Allen's longtime team, might face criticism for letting a franchise staple walk away, though they've clearly been looking to get younger and faster. For Miami, the narrative would shift from being a playoff hopeful to being a legitimate conference title threat. Whether the rumor stands or falls, its mere existence is already shaping off-season conversations in team facilities across the NFL. Fans who have followed Allen's career know that his story is one of persistence and adaptability. Drafted in the third round in 2013, he quickly proved he belonged, carving out a reputation for precision and toughness. Injuries threatened to derail his trajectory, but he returned each time, often looking sharper than before. That resilience could resonate deeply in Miami, a team that has dealt with its own share of adversity in recent years. Imagining Allen in Hard Rock Stadium catching a crucial third down pass as the crowd roars is enough to get Dolphins fans dreaming big. The rumored contract number may be steep, but in the context of winning culture and veteran presence, it could be money well spent. For Tagovailoa, the idea of having Allen as his get-out-of-jail option on broken plays is enticing. It's the kind of partnership that can quietly decide close games over a long season. Until we get confirmation, this story lives in that deliciously unpredictable space where sports gossip thrives. Maybe the Dolphins have already finalized the paperwork, and we're just waiting for the perfect media moment. Maybe Allen is still weighing other offers, and Miami's bid is one of several on his table. Either way, the thought of adding a seasoned, sure-handed receiver to an already explosive offense is captivating. Fans will keep refreshing their feeds, insiders will keep dropping cryptic hints, and the NFL rumor mill will keep spinning. Sometimes, these stories fade without a trace. Other times, they erupt into official press conferences and jersey unveilings. For now, Dolphins Nation can only speculate, debate, and imagine the possibilities. And if this $16 million rumor turns into a signed deal, Miami's offense could become the stuff of defensive coordinators' nightmares from September all the way into January. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.